Hi, welcome to the Andrew Buckle book review of Punkzines, British fanzines culture from punk scene 1976 to 1983 by Eddie Pillar and Steve Rowland, and this is from Omnibus Press. The book came out in 2021, it's about 176 pages and it's in black and white, predominantly, some colour of course, but predominantly black and white all the way through on fairly nice paper, actually feeling sort of like the paper, well obviously not, maybe photocopy paper, but it's still a decent quality book, and the pictures and the magazines, and it covers a vast amount of that period. I remember quite a lot of it. I bought lots of the magazines, not all of them, but they didn't get amazing distribution. They weren't sort of turning up in W.H. Smith's kind of thing, but they were, you found them in certain shops. Croydon, there was a shopping centre there, it had a brilliant bookshop, and I loved picking up all the magazines there, and things like Sniffin Glue. I had quite a lot of these. Unfortunately, I got rid of them all, probably to a shop or something, but or maybe put them in the bin. I can't remember now what I did, but still lots and lots of examples, and flicking through this I think, I remember that one, of course the Oz magazines, which was of course a bit before the punk period, but still obviously you've got other ones there. You've got also all the records there as well. I loved all the records. I had vast amounts of the records, the LPs, EPs, as well as singles of lots and lots of bands. Picked them up in all over the place, and there's the Sex Pistols 100 Club. Now, I never got any of the adverts, all the various posters and things that would be for those. Went to loads of concerts. I loved going to all those adverts, seeing the Clash, Buzzcocks, all those sort of bands. Just brilliant. Sniffin Glue, I had that one. Also Sniffin Glue, another one there. And also this one, I think I remember having number 2. That's a very, very early thing. Sometimes you go to these sort of shops and you'd find a pile of them, up 2 or 3 or 4, etc. Be a whole load of them. So, but it's a lot of information. I love all these people's recollections of the events, and also about what they were doing. Sadly, my punk zine never was in here. Would be very surprised if it was, but anyway, Kingdom Come. Vaguely remember that one as well. Don't know why. Not certain why I would, but because it says Fife's only fanzine. I imagine that. Sideburns. I love that one. This is a chord. This is a etc. Well, I was in a band as well. I love singing, and I love singing back then. It wasn't particularly very good. I hope there's no recordings of it. It'd be terrible if someone's got a recording somewhere of the various concerts we did. But Live Wire, all those sort of things. They were just load outpouring of all these things, Rising Free fanzines, and they were just full of great sort of energy, enthusiasm for the music and for everything else as well. It was just everything was the kitchen sink quite often literally was thrown into some of these magazines. It was like a great way of, there was no sort of style and design. It was like, we're just going to put this in because we want to. Look at that. No one, it's just throw it all in. And Genocide, and that one, The Modern World. Example after example, pretty vacant. Obviously the song, Sex Pistols, of course. And you've got other examples there, Chainsaw, Vague. I don't know what that one, Toxic, Graffiti. Now, I must admit, by about 1978, I sort of lost interest, 79, etc. So I didn't get any magazines after that. But I did get quite a lot when it was certainly 76, 77. My music tastes were always changing. Even now, they're changing all over the place. So, it's... So that was, but I loved Zigzag. That was a really great magazine. Now that I think did turn up in the sort of better distribution, because I'm certain copies turned up all over the place in the city. So there was some colour, not vast amounts of ones, but I predominantly remember them being very rough and ready, black and white. But they were just great because they were like 5, 6, 12 pence, 10 pence, whatever. They were reasonably priced. But they were great, and there was a way of finding out about bands, new bands. You think, I must go and see that band, or obviously Sham 69, the Sham story. People did that sort of thing. I mean, I was produced little booklets and things about various things, all mainly from like Enemy and things. It was not really very well done, but I enjoyed doing it at the time. Sadly, I didn't keep them, but you can't keep everything. So you've got here, obviously, acknowledgements at the back, and I think this book is just an absolute joy. Fanzines, it says it talking about the underground scene, and it was definitely everywhere, just an energy. And you'd find them in, like, say, most obscure places quite often. Now they go for quite in large amounts, so it's... but still, there's also a book, and I thought about getting it. I maybe will, maybe won't. Ripped and Torn. It's got the complete complete lot of the ripped and torn, worth checking out. And there's also mod zines as well. So if you're into mod music, which I must admit I love mod music, and mod zines would be another one I keep thinking about must get at some point, probably will. And I just love these ones. There was also an exhibition. I remember going to see one at the Barbican when it was sort of these sort of punk zine magazines as well. So very, very enjoyable. I loved it. So totally recommend it. If you're into punk, into fanzines of the time, this book is definitely a must-have. Definitely check it out. And also Omnibus Press, who I must admit I bought quite a lot of their books years ago, and then somehow stopped buying the books. But looking through their catalogue, they've got some really, really excellent books, and I definitely recommend checking out quite a few. I'm just reading one at the moment, Odyssey 71 and Odyssey 70 about Bowie, and it's just a brilliant book. And there's also many others, of course. So I'm definitely going to be buying more books from Omnibus Press again. So Punkzines, 1976 to 1983, wonderful years of brilliant music for some people. Some of it I loved it at the time, and still now.